good evening, and welcome to Motivational Monday. I am your girl, Jackie O, and y'all know how we do it up in here for Motivational Monday. I am here with my very special co-host, Ashley Bryn. Hey, Ashley Bryn.
Hey.
Hey. And we have our special guest, Charolette Stallings, who is the financial expert guru. Like, she has like all these titles to her name, and she is awesome. And we are super excited to have her. Welcome, Charolette.
Hey, I'm gonna follow with the heys and say hey as well. Hey.
I know.
I'm delighted to be with you all. Thank you for inviting me. Yes.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Y'all, you know what we say here on Motivational Monday. It is all about motivating and inspiring you, but also to do what?
Take action.
Take action. So everything that you learn, we're not going to sit on our tush.
No.
And, not move. We're not going to keep it in. We're going to do what? We're going to take some action. And so that is what we're doing. So tonight we're going to be talking about all things finances. And y'all, listen, some of y'all may already have it together. I don't know, but it's always great to have a refresher. And for those of us that don't, honey, I'm not going to raise my hand, but let me see. Is anybody in the back that I need to say it loud for the people in the back? I don't know.
In the back.
The people in the back. But I'm just going to keep it real. I'll be needing some help. So Charolette is going to be the lady that's going to help us tonight. She's going to help us tonight. So we are going to hop right in. Charolette is going to introduce herself, tell us a little bit about who she is, what she's doing, and we're ready to go.
Awesome, Jackie. You know what? First off, I must say, I appreciate your transparency, because here's a big thing about money. It is one of those things that is the thread throughout our lives. And we may start with a lot of great foundational information early on in life that our parents or some great mentor gave us. And then we go through some hiccups, and then we get it together, and then we go through some more hiccups, things that we create or things that the world life creates for us that we have to work through. So I appreciate that transparency and just saying, sometimes Jackie need to get it together too.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely me. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Charolette Stallings. I'm a native Minnesotan, but I've been living in Texas for a very long time. So I should really say I'm from here versus somewhere else, but I still claim Minneapolis, Prince, and everything that's happening there, my hometown for real. So this money thing, it started for me, I must say this to put context. I didn't always know about money. In fact, grew up in a single parent home, and that was the inspiration for the title of my book. It's called I Wish Someone Had Told Me, Financial Lessons Learned the Hard Way. And my mom, one time during a conversation, she said, Charolette, if somebody had told me like about a 401k, she said there was a woman on her job who said, girl, do not let them take that money out of your account. What are you going to do? You got 5 kids to feed. And my mother said she didn't learn until much later. She should have jumped on that contribution to her 401k because it was going to reduce her taxable income for tax filing purposes, and it was going to put her in a better position when she retired, but she was listening to the wrong person. So sometimes that's what our issue is. We're listening to somebody's in our ear, but they don't know any more than we do. Okay. So I didn't know a lot about money, went through college and got a good job at American Express, but was broke. Had a good job, broke, meaning I had a lot of credit cards and I'm paying the minimums on all of them. And my job in the investment department for mutual funds was to come up with strategies to help our financial advisors help their clients. And girl, bill collectors would be calling me while I'm talking on the phone to portfolio managers about these big, huge, hundreds of $1 million mutual fund accounts that they were investing in. And I said, God, this cannot be you. And straight up, I heard God say, no, this is me. And you are to get these principles so that you can change your life and your behaviors, and not just your family, but other people. So again, I'm really honored to be here because I am doing what I'm supposed to do, which is sharing information, trying to simplify it, trying to convey it and pass it along to people. So spent a lot of years at American Express training financial advisors, being one of a couple of corporate spokespeople. So I'd go out, be interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, Money Magazine, Kiplinger's, be on CNN, talking about finances, talking about investing. And I would still be there, except my position was eliminated. They spun off my division to form what is now Ameriprise. So my division and a lot of other divisions just went away. And the day that they told me that was happening, I felt bad, like it was a breakup, because we had been together a long time. And then the HR person told me how much severance I had, and I started drying my eyes. I said, send the papers on. I'm going to be okay.
I'm going to be all right.
Going to be all right. And so I did, and really seriously, there was no other job that I wanted, because I was doing what I loved, which was speaking and teaching and training. And I decided to start my own business as a keynote speaker and a trainer, leadership development consultant. And I'm so thankful that's what I've been able to do the last 10 or so years. And so being here today is just really, again, a part of what I'm called to do. And so that's I wanted just to set context. I didn't start with riches, and we lived in the projects. Real paper food stamps is how I grew up. And it was hard. It was a struggle. And so this thing about money still evades me. You know, we can have money set aside, we can have a retirement account, and then life will happen. And so sometimes it's about another charge of energy or just inspiration to say, hey, I can right myself, I can get back on the path and keep going forward. So that's me, and excited to be here with you two tonight.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Wow, that's an amazing story. Yeah, Ashley Brand, what you got going, girl? What, I mean.
Well, you know, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I mean, but you know what, when it comes to, I'm kind of like Jacquie, you know, I figure, you know, I'm also a work in progress. You know, there's always things that you can do better in any area, not just finances, but, you know, in regards to budgeting and, you know, all of that, you know, I'm also working on that too. You know, everybody wants the debt-free life, but very few of us want to pay the price that it takes to be debt-free. So I think it's absolutely great that we have you on tonight, you know, with everyone getting stimulus checks and getting a check here and a check there. You know, a lot of people are not managing that well, you know, and they have, this is the greatest opportunity to get on top of your debt. And so, you know, this is prime time for us to have someone like you, because you can tell them, hey, versus spending this here, do this or do that. So I guess I can go ahead and lead into my first thing was in section 1 of your book, you have, it says, examine where you are financially. And there's a section in there that says money talk is good talk, right? Because we all know that money is not an issue until it's an issue.
Yep.
So
So
I would like for you to elaborate on how do you get started with examining yourself financially?
That's good. Yeah. This discussion about money, it is this thing that's very elusive. It's almost taboo to talk about money because, you know, we project, and certainly in this age of social media, I'm not slamming everything we see online. Nobody puts any imperfect pictures. You know, we would take a million shots to get that right one that's got the light just so, and our angles, and then we'll apply some filters because we want it to look good. I have not seen anybody on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere that looks crazy or talks about crazy stuff that's happening in their lives. So certainly this thing about money, it can just be tough to discuss how much you make, how many bills you have, are you paying cash for things? And so this idea of money talk is a good talk. Just to remind people that we can do things. I remember when my husband and I first got married, and it took a session much like this, a gentleman at our church talking about different principles and approaches to help us be better with money. And one thing he talked about was, you really got to sit down and talk about it. We dated for 5 years, and we had some conversations in premarital counseling about money, but I mean the real deal stuff, like, what do you do when you get depressed? Do you run to the mall? You know, are all your bills really maxed out? It's things like that. So starting with the conversation, even if we say just once a week, we're going to have family finance time, whatever you want to call it. Bring the kids in, bring the dog in, the cat, the bird, I don't care, everybody, and sit down and just chat it out. And what does that look like? What could it look like? Whatever bills came in that week, whether there's a paper bill or there's an electronic bill, it is literally sitting it down and opening it up right there, after dinner, during dinner or something, and saying, okay, this is the gas bill. And, so this is what happens. We're charged this amount, and sometimes it can go up, sometimes it can go down. We need to take care of this because we need to be cooled off. We need to be warm. Okay, next bill, let's talk about it. It can be as simple as that, to integrate our children into the family conversation. Right. And just to make it simple, sometimes husbands and wives or partners, whomever, it's like, are they talking about those particular things, so that in the event that there is a challenge, there's illness, there's some disruption in our income, in our work scenario, that the other party knows what to do or knows what to handle or what's important. Right. So if we can, the money conversation, the idea, I'm not ever going to say you have to do this or you have to do that. I want everybody to find what works for them. So sometimes easing into a conversation like that, where it's a setting, we're eating, we're chilling, we're relaxing, just whatever came in that week, talk about it. Talk about the Netflix bill. Let me give you an example. So my mom, when I was young, she did that. And in hindsight, it was like such a blessing, because she'd say, okay, now this is this bill. Sometimes we had red ink on those envelopes. That meant, when red ink, like regular letters, meant this is about to get turned off. So this requires your attention. So what she taught me was prioritization around those things. Okay, honey, we're gonna stack these bills up. These with the red printing, we got to deal with those. We got to figure out a plan for those. Other things got to wait. So I got indoctrinated. I was talking with a young woman, and it was on her podcast. We were talking about money, and she was saying, you know what? I think I was ill prepared. We didn't say anything about bills, whether they were due or behind. So she said she got to college literally and was like, what do I do? How do these things work? What's the mechanics of it? So to the extent that we can just, what comes in each week, just talk about that. And then plan for the next week, whatever bills are due that week. So set it up according to the calendar and tied in with something that's relaxing, that the whole family is coming around to do. Schedule some time with your loved one and say, okay, maybe we've had a high level general conversation with everyone, or if your family is just the two people, then schedule the time like you would to go get your hair done or get your nails done or something. And it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. Let's take 30 minutes and just talk about where we are financially. And that could be, what's our balances in our account? Are we hitting our targets? What's our spending looking like? So just start with a discussion and make it something regular, versus we only talk about it once a year and then it's scary time.
Right.
I love that. Go ahead. Yeah, I love that about having the conversation about money, because we do that here, me and my daughters. I tell them, this is what I make on my job, because I still work full time. This is what's coming in. This is what's going out. So they know, okay, if we can't do X, Y, and Z, well, that's because at this, the first of the month, okay, this is where all the major bills are due, or, whatever it is. So yeah, we talk about that. And I think that that's very important, because we did not talk about that growing up. And it was only because when you know better, you do better, right? And there's so much more resources out now than it was when we were coming up in our era. So our parents only taught us what their parents taught them, which basically was, go to work, go to college, get a good job, and put your money in a savings account, and not really have mutual funds or things like that we know to do today. So it's really good. And I like that, again, that point that you mentioned about having a conversation with your family, so that everyone knows that this is what's happening in our finances.
And it doesn't have to be that things are off or bad. I'm sorry, Miss Ashley, this just came to mind. There's a goal you have. So we want to take a trip. That's right. So make that a part of the conversation. Okay, where do we want to go this summer? I don't know, Destin. Okay, let's do, now how are we going to get to Destin? Let's do some research. So that's a part of the conversation. Okay, somebody's online. Okay, a hotel in Destin costs $239 a night. Okay, because we don't want to be in the $29 a night spot. Why Miss Ashley shake her hand so hard? Like, no, ma'am, we are not going to be in that spot. No, that is not a vacation. You want to, after you've been on the beach, you want to come to a nice spot. Okay, so it's going to cost us X. We want to be there how many nights? We'll be there like 6 nights. Okay, so calculate that. That's how much. Okay, so we need X. So how are we going to get there? And what can we do to get to that? That could be inspiring and teaching them creative things. So it can be for the goals. It can be for the maintenance on the regular. It can be if there's some challenges. So all of it is available to have discussions, and I love what you're doing with your daughters, Jacquie, because that is indoctrinating them and giving them a sense of things. So
Absolutely.
And before you say that, Brand, as Charlotte was talking, so we can go to the next point, that is so important too when you said about the good, because we just came back from a trip on spring break, and that was the actual conversation was, okay, this is what we need to do. This is how much this is going to cost. We rented an SUV. Okay, a hotel, all the food. And we did a road trip. So we were in Charlotte, we were in Savannah, we were in Alabama, we were just like all over, but we had that goal. So you're right. It could be good and bad, I guess you could say. All right, Ashley Brand. I'm sorry.
So that kind of that leads us into our next thing was need, want, or can it wait? And so with those goals, you would have to use that, because that's also in your book, need, want, or can it wait? And so when you have that goal, you're asking yourself those questions, can this wait? If we're trying to reach this goal, can this wait? And I thought about when you were talking about having the conversations with families, you can say, okay, well, guys, the lights you remember how mommy always tells you to kind of turn the lights off?
Right.
Well, if we're going to reach this goal, then this doesn't need to be like this, which means you're going to have to be proactive in turning lights off, not leaving the water running, things like that. So, like I said, that leads us into need, want, and can it wait? So if you could talk a little bit about that, Ms. Charlotte.
And you can tell I get passionate, so I'm going to truncate it so we can get to more things.
I see.
This idea of need or want, that became a basis by which we could ask questions. And here's what I did, even it happens to be right here. I made some little, oops, there's my background acting weird, so it's hard to kind of see, but these little cards that are like little credit cards that we could put in our wallets or purses to remind us, ask yourself, is it a need? Is it a want? And I think initially when writing the book, my thinking was around spending, because that could be a big thing. When I was excited, I'd go spend. When I was depressed, I'd go spend. Have a good day at work, I'm spending. Have a bad day at work, I'm spending some more. And it's really easy with online stuff. Man, you could just go berserk and have these boxes the next day. Oh, it's been bad during COVID. So asking ourselves before, especially those emotional kinds of purchases, even in the grocery store, it can be anything. Just, is it a need or is it a want? Just stop right there, pump the brakes enough to ask ourselves that question. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have it if it's a want. It's just, has it been budgeted for? Do you have a plan for how you're going to pay for it, etc.? If it's a need, that question still may need to be asked. But the key is if it's a want, how are you going to pay for it? And you know what? What if you just waited 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, or 5 weeks? Is it still going to be so pressing that you've got to figure out something for it? So it can just be because I was an admitted emotional shopper, do whatever, need or want. Just a simple question to help us stop for a moment and really think about it. This can be with big purchases, small purchases. So just an approach, just a mindset.
So that brings us to actually, you gave us a great segue into chapter 13 of your book. And I called it retail therapy. So I kind of paraphrase it. And that is something that a lot of us are big on, especially since COVID and Amazon. Mr. Bezos is consistently making money off of us, and this is how I knew it was bad, is when the Amazon guy would drop off a package, I would get this excitement. It was just like, oh my God, it's like Christmas,
the box,
and before you know it, I'll just order it off of Amazon. I'll just order it off of Amazon, and so like you said, it's an emotional thing. So retail therapy, is that a go or no go?
So again, I'll take it back to, here's something I had to learn. My husband and I, we went through a period of really, really working to get out of debt. We had saved a ton of money to buy our first home, and he had like one couch, a TV, and that was our like Friday night hangout. We get on that couch and we watch everything we could. And we did that for years because we really wanted to get that money together. And then it got to be where we were just tight wads, like, ooh, we can't spend $5 because that's going to break us. And what he said was, you know what, we've done really well. Let us relax a bit and celebrate. Now, it doesn't mean go off the rails and get back to where we were with a lot of debt, but just enjoy. So this retail therapy, I would say, you know what, if it's measured, if it's planned for, that's the big thing. That's why a budget is so important, and call it a spending plan, whatever you like. If budget freaks you out, I write in the book, budget isn't a cuss word. So use whatever term you like to help you stay the course. So the retail therapy, I'd say examine, is this to address some other underlying issue? Like for me,
Right.
when I'd be frustrated at my boss, I would run to the mall. Instead of sitting down and processing that, talking with my boss about it, whomever about it. So is this misplaced emotion? And if that's what it is, if this shopping is instead of or in place of something else, some kinds of conversations that should be happening, then that needs to be checked. Yet if it's a reward for something, or if it is a need, or we've saved for it, I can go get that Gucci bag because I have been consistent and diligent in putting aside $100 a month for the last month. So I'm able to go get that little wallet, that little card holder, because I've been putting my money aside, because I'm gonna have to double that to get the other Gucci bag that I want, because it's just in that price range.
Yes.
But if I've been putting it aside, then I can walk in there with my head up, knowing I'm not messing up anything else because I've been diligent. So I would not say to anybody, oh, cut that out, because then that's what makes us splurge. Think about that. If I keep saying, no, Jackie, you cannot have that XYZ. No, Miss Ashley, you cannot have it. One day you're going to go bump all that. I'm just going to go get it. So we don't want that either. So plan for it, set aside for it. Check if there is something you're masking or covering that's driving you to shop. If that's like all the time, you're trying to keep up with people. I write about that too. It's a little dated. The Joneses don't care. Don't nobody care.
No.
You got 5 pairs of red bottoms you brought home today. Don't nobody care, because they're
not even comfortable.
Oh Lord, I don't wear mine because they hurt so bad.
They're not comfortable.
They're not. A salesperson, I was in buying some at the Louboutin store up in Dallas. And I just said, they hurt so bad. He said, they're not meant to be comfy. These are not.
I'm gonna tell you what my brother-in-law told my sister one time when she was saying she was gonna go get some. He was like, no, let me tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Home Depot, get some red paint. We're gonna paint the bottom, put a seal on it, and there are your red bottoms.
Problem solved.
Okay.
Problem solved. We do not have that issue. Yeah. So on the retail tip, just for real, just check what's driving that. Right. If you see yourself, and I'd say sometimes we don't see it. We're so caught up in ourselves. So if you're that girlfriend, that's your boo, your bae who's out there doing that, or it's just one of your good girlfriends, then pull her to the side and say, listen, I'm seeing some behaviors here, some patterns, and let's sit down and talk about this, because they might not even be aware. So everybody needs that bestie who will do that for them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's right. So the bill collectors, a lot of people dodge the bill collectors, or they block them, or they put, like I've heard some people say, oh, that's one of them do not answer calls, that those DNA calls. And I'm like, so what does that mean? They're like, so when I see DNA, I know I'm not answering that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. At some point they will find you.
They will.
So then they call you from a different number.
Yes. and then they'll call you, hey, such and such. And you're like, hi. And I'm like, yeah, this call is being recorded. Okay, just, but you say,
Ashley,
in your book. Exactly. But I've heard so many different things from so many different people on how they address bill collectors and debt. But in your book, you say, no, you should face them. face that head on. It's not something you should dodge.
No, not at all. Here's the deal about that. My mom used to work in the collections department at a large bank. She retired from there, and she saw me playing those games. And I'm telling you, I'd be at work planning strategies for consumers, writing out marketing plans and developing promotions to help consumers save. And the bill collectors would call. And it was old school before there was any caller ID. So I just would be answering. And then this is really ratchet, straight up. They'd call and Charlotte didn't know she's not here right now. And then I'd hang up, and because caller ID didn't exist in it, they'd call on a different number. And I'd say, hello, this is Charlotte. And they go, Charlotte, this is so-and-so.
You should have said you have the wrong number.
And I couldn't say it because it was terrible. So my mom would say to me, Charlotte, just talk to them. Tell them what you can do. They don't want to go out and have to hunt you down. That costs them to do that. She said, we don't want to repossess cars. We don't want to repossess houses. What can we do with some jewelry and clothes? Nothing. She ran the whole collections department at a major bank. And she said, just talk to them. They will work with you. And so through trembling, I did. And, I called them. She said, be proactive. Don't wait for them to call you. And so I did. And it was absolutely what she described. They'd say, okay, if that's what you can do, then do that. Now, some of them were trying to be hard and, you're going to have to. No, here's what I can do. So I would say to anybody, you got one or two calling. And these days, do not be alarmed. I mean, you could be a day late and they will start robo-dialing you. They really, really will. So be proactive, give them a call, have a thought, have a plan first around what you can do. Let's say some things got behind, whatever has happened. We had the freeze here. You needed to pay the deductible to get some things repaired in your home. Tell them, here's what I can do. Real life situation. A couple of years ago, I broke my ankle, had to have surgery of pins, plates, the whole bit. So my medical bills were, it was like $45,000 for that whole episode. Well, with insurance and all, so it was down to maybe $25,000. And they were looking for me to pay all this. So I called like my insurance place. They had some advocate. We called every single place and just said, here's the deal. I will pay you, but I can't pay you all that right now. And people cut the bills. They literally did. In some cases, they just wiped it out. And so what was like a $25,000 bill maybe came down to 9 or 10 that I was allowed to pay over time. So it was the proactiveness. It was giving them a call. So it's real deal. And I just encourage everybody, make the call, have a plan, say, here's what I can do, be willing to commit to whatever you can do. And they will. And then if you get off track, something happens, call them back up. Don't let them have to call you, because then it is going to feel extra stressful. So it really does work. Give them a jingle. And then that's even, let's say there's nothing out of whack. You want your interest rates down, you can call them and say, hey, I have been paying you all consistently. I'd like to get my interest rate reduced. There's some other places where I can take my business. All they can do is say no. But I imagine, especially if you've been consistent, they're going to figure out a way to adjust that down or bump up your credit limit. So call them, develop a relationship with them. Yeah, Charlotte called. This was kicking it. How are you today? Let's talk about what things I can, leverage. How can I strengthen this partnership, this relationship? Because that's what it is. It's a partnership. Absolutely. You are partnering with this financial institution. They're partnering with you. Leverage the relationship. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and there's a sense of freedom. When you do that, when you're proactive, when you come to the table with them and say, because I've had to do that, and like, this is what I have, and this is what I can do. This is what I can do every month. Right. And, and so like you said, that is true. And I've experienced that. Either the bill will be cut in half, they'll work with you, or it'll just be gone, altogether. So that is very important for us to have a plan. And I think it also is how we think. Our mindset. Once we change and our minds transform of we need to do X, Y, and Z to get here, then we make those necessary changes, as they say, by any means necessary, because you do what you want to do when you want to do it. At the end of the day. So if you know that you need to make changes in your finances, be proactive, do whatever that is that needs to happen, then you need to put that action into place to do that.
I agree. Right. I love it. I agree.
So we have a few minutes left. Now, the final part of your book where it says, get started now. So if you could just in some brief words, let people know, how can they get started? What are some of the give us 5 things that people can get started like today or first thing in the morning?
Great. And so I'll give you one to start right now. Right now, it's mindset, and it's something that Jackie was referencing, and we've really been alluding to the entire night, but it's a mindset. And here is the biggest, most important thing. If we said nothing else, I'd love for people to take this away. The key thing is to consume less than we produce.
Right.
Consume less than we produce. And in essence, that means live on less than you bring home. That is the key that opens up the doors for so many things. So it's a mindset. It's a shift in saying, every dime I make, I'm not going to put it on my hair, on my nails, on my body. I'm not going to drive in every dime I make. I am going to ensure that I have some money left over. And it's the only way we can do that, spending less than we make. So that's a decision. That's a commitment. That's a mindset thing. So I'd say firstly that. Secondly, it kind of ties with it. No blame, no shame. Okay. Wherever you've been, that's it. That was behind. That was yesterday. Today, we're right here with the idea that we're going to talk about money. We're going to consume less than we make. We're going to, have a plan. So let go whatever's going on. Otherwise, we'll stay entrenched in that. Here's the third thing. So first thing, consume less than we produce. Secondly, no shame, no blame. That's around mindset stuff. Third thing, we're in this age of TikTok and everything. So I say, TikTok your finances. TikToks are quick little videos, And so I say to people, assess where you are. Assess where you are. On a regular basis. So it's conversation maybe once a week or so, and every day, do your accounting every day. Like sit down 15 minutes, go online, look at what has cleared in your account. You've done some swiping with your card. Is that pending? Has it posted? Making sure there are no errors, there are no, hacking or anything that's gone on. So when you think quick, TikTok versus it's a big, long, entrenched, it's a drag down. I'm going to quick get in here every day and check out what my financial status is. Okay, so it's assessing where you are. And I like to encourage people to audit your financial stuff at least once a month. When I say audit, take more time to sit down and go, okay, here's where I started. Here's where I said I wanted to end up this month. Do I have extra money? I'll call it disposable income. That's what you can do with some other things. So 3, TikTok your finances. And then I'd say, here's another thing people can do tomorrow. There's 2 more things. One is, I like to call it the 25% rule. And this gets to, Ms. Ashley, what you were talking about, like stymies, those stimulus checks that have come in. Some people now in the 3rd, 4th, maybe they were talking about another one. Any windfalls, extra money that comes into your hands. I don't care if it's a graduation check or a cash app you got, or you got $1,400 or a $10,000 bonus. Have a plan for how you're going to spend windfalls, anything extra that comes into your account. Here's something you could approach it with, 25% rule, 25% that you allocate to save. Okay, that's saving, paying yourself first. 25% that you allocate towards spending. That could be spending down or the debts that you have. 25% that you allocate toward debt. Well, let me back up. The difference between spending and debt. You may spend it on something you want. You want a new outfit. You want something, you spend it, carpet, flooring. 25% that we allocate toward reducing debt. Okay, that can be the mortgage, the car, that can be a credit card. And then 25% that we give. So implement some kind of rule. You may say, oh, that's, I don't know, a little bit structured. I don't care, make up a rule, make up a number, an equation that works for you. 25% rule, 1/4 of any windfalls for sure. Spending, saving, giving, and then the debt. And then the last thing is this, everybody can do this tomorrow, okay? Go and check who you have designated for beneficiaries for any of your retirement accounts. This is a big deal because if you separate from service from an employer by choice or not, that is what we call non-probate money, meaning if something happens to you, the courts can't go, okay, we're going to decide who gets what. That money goes to who you've listed as a beneficiary. And sometimes we worked at ABC company like 15 years ago and we forgot that retirement account that's there. And today our lives aren't set up the same way they were then. So who I may be listed as a beneficiary back then might not be who I want to be a beneficiary today. I might have children, I might have a new love of my life that I want listed there, or different family members. So check your beneficiary designations. Everybody, tomorrow call HR and say, send me a copy of my beneficiary designation.
Oh, that's good.
And where you used to work. If you don't know what you did with the retirement account, or you're still getting statements, call them up and say, if you're going to leave the account there, that's another conversation for another day. Who do I have listed as my beneficiaries? And if that account remains there, which could be fine, update the beneficiaries. That is significant. So those are things everybody can do today. Some of it's mindset, it's decision, and then we've got some actual items. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really, 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 really good.
That is yummy.
Listen, I know that we're like at time, but I have one last question, and then there were some comments. So important to involve kids in understanding finances. Absolutely. One lady says, I asked my child, do you still want it if you are paying for it out of your own money? Ooh. That's another conversation too, because
that's a whole nother, because you know they're gonna say
no, they don't want it.
They don't. Or they get real cheap. Quick. My daughter, she started working her first little job. She was 16. She was a lifeguard. She got her first check. Oh, I'm so happy I got a check. I said, oh, you're gonna take mommy and daddy to dinner? She went, she said, okay, everybody's on a $5 limit. Girl, you've been eating steaks all your life. You're about to put us on a $5 per person. You can't get a soda real good for $5. But she was serious, got tight with that money. They change up when it's there.
Yeah. They change, and that's exactly what she said. They totally change, and all get advice. Yes, this is all just really great advice. And to that last question, a lot of times people say that they cannot save.
Right.
They can't save. They can't budget. They can't do anything because of maybe the amount of money that they're making or whatever their situation is. They cannot do it. And again, we know that that's a mindset that they have to change. But what would you say to that? Because say if it's someone that is working a minimum wage job, they have a family, it's just really tight, they're not able to squeeze anything out because they are from paycheck to paycheck. What would be some advice for them to kind of get on track or make some changes?
I wish I could say there was some simple, easy thing to it, some solution. And I get it. It was tight for my mom for years. Literally, it was tight. That's how come some lights got disconnected sometimes and the heat got turned off. There was just not enough. So I get it. I feel you is what I want to say to that person. So I will say this, and these are things that I learned way back. There's no magical stuff. The only way to improve our financial situation is kind of two things. We either have to bring more money in or reduce what's going out. Absolutely. Straight up. You got to bring more in or you got to reduce what's going out. So I would say to anyone, you look at those expenses as closely as you can. And if there's no more room, you can't do anything. These are the expenses. I've gotten them down. Then I'm going to ask you, what can you do additionally to bring in more money? Because that's the thing. And the problem is when we don't have any wiggle room, we're not able to create a cash reserve or a rainy day fund or opportunity. We just don't have any space to move. So nothing can hit a road bump. So figuring out what can you do, leveraging the gifts and talents and abilities that God has given you so that you can generate some more income, so you can create some cushion and some space. I'm an advocate of that. I say everybody with a job needs to have a couple more jobs. Y'all maybe don't remember, but Living Color, you remember that show from years ago? And I know we are at time. In Living Color, there were fly girls, and the guy was talking about, you lazy man, you only have one job. We got 20 jobs, and they just list them off. It was funny, but it was real.
Yeah.
You got to have some other streams of income. So what can you do? Are you great at cooking and preparing meals? Are you great at doing hair? What is that thing that you can do that gets you an extra little? Just talk to a friend. He's really great with cutting hair. He's always just cutting some extra heads. So what can you do to bring more money in? Talk with the children. Everybody under the roof needs to be involved in that process and that conversation. And here's what I'm going to tell you that I know is real. My mother would always say to us, it's not going to be this way always. So if it's tight right now, you got to say, this is mindset. It's not going to be like this always.
Yeah.
And I am putting action. That's what I love about how we kick this segment off. You all said every time you're together, you're talking about action. That's the key. I'm not going to sit and keep thinking about it. I'm going to do it. The Bible says faith without works is dead. So we've got to do our part.
Yes.
Look at what you are able to do and say, I'm going to go tell some people I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And here's what I do. In exchange for X amount of money, I can do X, Y, Z for you. And all you need is one to get started.
Yeah.
And then somebody else, and then somebody else. And before you know it, you have a clientele. That's your side hustle. And I say, work your side hustle till you work yourself out of your day job. Make that thing blow up and be great. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I get all passionate. So you got to tell me to hush. Okay.
Because she be telling me all the time, girl, you got 15 jobs. I know, honey.
Keep them.
15 jobs.
Keep them. Ashley, give her that eye. Ashley's the 15 jobs.
15 jobs.
Girl,
you wanted to just have 5 jobs. Yeah, we need more jobs.
This has been so good. Oh my goodness, y'all, this has been absolutely amazing. And oh my goodness, we are just out of time. We're out of time. But y'all, Charlotte is going to tell you how to get in contact with her. She has amazing services that she offers. And so you can get in contact with her, ask her questions, see how she could help you. So Charlotte, go ahead and let us know.
Sure. So thank you all again for being here. And thank you all for inviting me, Jackie and Ashley. It's really been a delight and a pleasure. So I'm on Insta, I'm on Facebook. I really live mostly on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Char Stallings. You just Google me, I'll pop up. And so I've written a book. It's called I Wish Someone Had Told Me, Financial Lessons Learned the Hard Way. It's on Amazon. You can order there or DM me and I'll send you an autographed copy. It's just $14.95. And so you can get that. I hold workshops as well. Just at a virtual workshop a couple of weeks ago. It was great. And so have another one coming up. It won't be tied to finances. It'll be tied to professional or public speaking, because I know a lot of people want to enhance that aspect of their lives, personally and professionally. So I'll be hosting one at the end of the month, helping people. I call it Respect the Butterflies. And there's a whole story behind that. But Char Stallings, you hit me. And here's what I do. I give everybody who asks, I give you 30 minutes and I will delve in and help you with whatever you're working on. So I offer a 30-minute, what I call a rapid fire clarity call. So whatever you want to talk about, if it's your money, if it's like life, if it's your work, if you lead a team, or you're an individual contributor, whatever that might be. So you can go to my website, just sign up for that, 30 minutes, no cost. And you got all of Charlotte for 30 minutes, and anything I can help you with, I will. So hit me up. If I can help you, I will. People help me, and I'm a believer in that. Given it shall be given. So I will, you hit me up, we'll schedule it and we'll make it happen from wherever you are.
All right. I love it. I love it. Ashley Brand, what you got before I close this out?
Nothing. This is awesome. I think everyone who's listening now, or if you listen to the replay, you should definitely take advantage of Miss Charlotte, because the only way you can live your best life is if you manage your present life. So I think she is definitely a great resource for that. The book is absolutely phenomenal. That is something $14.99, I think you said.
$14.95.
$14.95. That is an investment. I spend more than that when I go to Starbucks. So it is something that you should definitely invest in. It's going to help you to get ahead. Because we all know that the world revolves around money, whether you want to admit it or not. Okay. Money gives you status, which is everybody's trying to go after, which, I mean, that should not be your goal. But I mean, money is involved in all aspects of our life. So if you can manage that better, I'm pretty sure you can manage life a little better. When you have money, it eliminates some stresses, not all. So, I definitely, think that you should get the book. I'm so happy Miss Charlotte was on here. I will probably be trying to take advantage of her rapid fire, of course. I cannot wait. I may even try to take advantage of that tomorrow.
Okay. So, go ahead on, girl. Just literally DM me, find me, whatever we'll do. I am just honored to help people wherever I can. So hit me up. And let's do
So,
it.
and that's a true money move. Everybody talks about making money moves. That is a true money move when you talk to someone who knows what they're talking about regarding finances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there y'all have it. Y'all need to get the book. You need to look up Charolette Stallings. Just type her in Google, and like it's gonna all pop up. And take advantage of her workshops. Y'all know how we do it here. We are big advocates for supporting one another,
Yes,
to
we
do
are.
what we can to support one another, whether that's purchasing products, attending workshops. And I did attend Charlotte's Financial a couple of weeks ago, and it was top-notch, amazing. And so I'm going to also attend that professional public speaking that you're going to be doing. So I can't wait for that one to come up, and we'll attend that. So you guys jump on this. When you have information, make sure you take advantage of it. And the good thing is it's an investment. It's an investment into yourself, right? And we've said this all night, to better ourselves. And so don't look at it at the cost. And even her last workshop was very, 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 can I say very again? Very, like reasonable for all of that information that we got, all of the experts that were on the panel. And I have tons of notes. So don't look at it as that. Look at it as you're investing in yourself, your money, and your time.
Right.
Do that. So again, Charlotte, thank you so much for being
welcome.
with us.
I am honored. This is delightful. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to staying connected with you both. If I can be a resource to you, let me know. And I want to say to you all, literally asking, Jacquie reached out to me, asked, and we had not met. We've seen each other online and around. Yeah. And so it's as simple as that. And that's what I'm learning more and more. We reach out, and that's how doors can open for us. Yeah. So take advantage of all that the ladies are sharing with you all, not just tonight, but every single week. Take it and act on it. I love what you all are saying there. Act on it, because if we don't act, we won't get what we need. So
that's right.
I love it. Thank you all so much. This has
all
been
right. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Everyone saying great advice. Good. Thank you so much to our viewers that are on Facebook. Listen, you guys, watch the replay, share it to your pages. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section, and we'll make sure that Charlotte gets them. You can, or just get in contact with her directly, whatever works best for you. We'll be back next week, May 10th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will have Dr. Shawn Johnson. She is going to be talking to us about everything health related for women. What we need to be asking the doctors when we go for our well woman checkup. We just let them do the standard routine, but there may be some other things that we need to be trying to have some tests ran. So we'll be talking to her about that and our women's health. So y'all please tune in, and we will see you on next week at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time with Motivational Monday. I'm your girl, Jacquie O, and my co-host, Ashley Bren. And we pray that you guys have an amazing rest of your week. All right.
Absolutely.